The enduring mystery of the Starchild Skull begins around the year 1930, deep within a mining tunnel near Mexico's rugged Copper Canyon. It was there that a teenage American girl, exploring the remote landscape, stumbled upon a discovery that would spark decades of controversy. She found a makeshift grave hidden within the tunnel, containing the skeletal remains of two individuals. One skeleton was of a normal adult human, found lying exposed on the ground. The other, much smaller and strangely formed, was partially buried nearby. According to the story, the smaller skeleton's hand was found clutching the arm of the larger one. The girl retrieved both skulls from the site, preserving them from the elements. For over 60 years, these peculiar artifacts remained in her private possession, a hidden curiosity. Shortly before her death in the 1990s, she passed the skulls on to Ray and Melanie Young, a couple from El Paso, Texas. The skull's journey into the public eye began in February 1999, when the Youngs sought out a researcher. He entrusted the anomalous skull to Lloyd Pye, an author and researcher known for his interest in alternative theories of human origins. Pye was the one who christened it the Starchild Skull, a name that captured its otherworldly appearance. He immediately embarked on a mission to prove his hypothesis, that the skull was not entirely human. The skull itself is undeniably strange, possessing several features that deviate significantly from a typical human skull. Its most striking feature is the cranial capacity, measured at 1,600 cubic centimeters. This volume is a full 200 cubic centimeters larger than that of an average human adult. For a child, which the skull was determined to be, this size is even more anomalous. The bone itself is also a point of contention, being remarkably thin yet reportedly very durable. The eye sockets, or orbits, are shallow, oval, and unusually symmetrical. Another significant oddity is the complete absence of frontal sinuses, which are air pockets typically found in the forehead. The back of the skull, the occipital region, is noticeably flattened, a condition known as brachycephaly. The foramen magnum, the hole where the spinal cord connects, is shifted forward compared to a normal human's. To determine its age, the skull was subjected to radiocarbon dating. Tests performed in 1999 at the University of California, Riverside, provided the first concrete timeline. The results, later corroborated by a 2004 test, placed the skull's age at approximately 900 years old, plus or minus 40 years. This means the individual lived and died around the 12th century. Crucially, the normal human skull found alongside it dated to the exact same period. This confirmed they were contemporaries, buried together for a reason lost to time. The most contentious aspect of the investigation has always been the DNA analysis. The first attempt at genetic sequencing was in 1999 at BOL, the Bureau of Legal Dentistry in Vancouver. This initial test successfully identified both X and Y chromosomes. Scientists at the time concluded this was definitive proof that the skull belonged to a human male, as both parents must have been human. However, Pye and his supporters argued that the test might have been compromised by contamination. A more sophisticated test was commissioned in 2003 with Trace Genetics, a lab specializing in ancient DNA. This analysis successfully recovered mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, which is passed down exclusively from the mother. The results showed the mother was a human female belonging to haplogroup C. This haplogroup is a known genetic signature of Native American populations. This finding proved the Starchild's mother was unequivocally a native human of the Americas. The same test confirmed the adult female skull found nearby belonged to a different maternal lineage, haplogroup A. Therefore, the adult skeleton was not the Starchild's mother, though she may have been a relative or caretaker. Crucially, trace genetics was unable to recover significant fragments of nuclear DNA. Nuclear DNA, inherited from both parents, held the key to identifying the father's genetic contribution. This is where the official scientific account and the Starchild Project's claims diverged dramatically. Pi's team announced in subsequent years that they had commissioned further private DNA analysis. In 2010, they claimed to have recovered and sequenced a fragment of the FOXP2 gene. This gene is highly conserved across species and plays a role in language and speech. They alleged this fragment had an unprecedented 56 variations compared to a normal human's. Such a high number of mutations in a conserved gene would be extraordinary, if true. Later, in 2012, the project claimed that a significant portion of the recovered nuclear DNA had no matches in any terrestrial database. This was presented as the definitive proof of a non-human father. The mainstream scientific community remained deeply skeptical of these announcements. A primary criticism was the lack of publication in any peer-reviewed scientific journal. Peer review is the gold standard for validating scientific claims, a process the Starchild data never underwent. Critics argued that the results could be the product of contamination or misinterpretation of degraded ancient DNA fragments. Ancient DNA is notoriously difficult to work with and prone to errors. Without independent verification, the extraordinary claims remain just that, claims. In contrast, the scientific explanation for the skull's appearance is grounded in known human pathology. The leading hypothesis is congenital hydrocephalus. This condition involves a buildup of cerebrospinal fluid in the brain's ventricles, creating immense internal pressure. In an infant whose skull plates have not yet fused, this pressure causes the head to expand dramatically. Dr. Stephen Novella, a neurologist at Yale University School of Medicine, has pointed out that the skull exhibits classic signs of this condition. The enlarged cranium, the thin bones, and the shape of the orbits are all consistent with severe, untreated hydrocephalus. Dental analysis suggests the child died at around 4 or 5 years of age. Survival for several years with untreated hydrocephalus, while difficult, is medically documented. Other possible conditions include severe brachycephaly or genetic disorders like Cruzan syndrome. Proponents of the alien theory often argue that the skull is too symmetrical for a deformity. However, hydrocephalus can indeed result in a symmetrically enlarged cranium. Another point of debate is the practice of artificial cranial deformation. Many ancient cultures in the region, including those from around 900 years ago, practiced head binding. This was done by binding an infant's head to create a flattened or elongated shape for aesthetic or social reasons. However, the Starchild skull differs from typical examples of cranial deformation in a key way. Artificial deformation changes the shape of the skull, but does not increase its internal volume. The Starchild's 1.6 cc capacity cannot be explained by head binding alone. This fact leads many to dismiss simple deformation as a complete explanation. It is, however, possible that a child with a congenital condition like hydrocephalus also had their head bound. This could represent a combination of a natural pathology and a cultural practice. Further analysis of the bone's composition also yielded strange results for Pi's team. They reported finding unusual fibers embedded within the bone matrix. Additionally, a mysterious reddish residue was found in some cancellous bone areas. Skeptics suggest these could be post-mortem environmental contaminants or remnants of blood vessels. The claim that the bone is as hard as tooth enamel has also been contested. X-ray diffraction analysis confirmed the bone is made of hydroxyapatite, the normal mineral component of mammalian bone. there is no evidence of any non-terrestrial material in its fundamental composition. Lloyd Pye, the primary advocate for the alien hybrid theory, passed away in 2013. His death left the Starchild project without its most passionate and public voice. Since his passing, the research has become more fragmented and less prominent. The skull itself remains in private hands, limiting access for independent researchers. This lack of open access is a major hurdle to resolving the controversy definitively. To the scientific community, the case is largely closed, considered a fascinating but terrestrial medical anomaly. It serves as an extreme example of what can happen when a congenital disorder goes untreated. Believers in ancient aliens and ufology, the skull remains a cornerstone piece of physical evidence. They argue that science is too quick to dismiss phenomena that don't fit the established paradigm. The story taps into a deep-seated human fascination with our origins and the possibility of life beyond Earth. The narrative of a human-alien hybrid is a powerful modern myth. The Starchild Skull's visual strangeness makes it a potent symbol for this myth. Ultimately, the debate boils down to the interpretation of evidence. Is it a tragic human story of disease and deformity from 900 years ago? Or is it tangible proof of an extraterrestrial visitor and a resulting hybrid offspring? Scientific explanation, based on verifiable data and known conditions, rests on solid ground. The alternative theory relies on unverifiable claims and a deep sense of mystery. Without new, independently verified evidence, the Starchild will likely remain a skull of contention. Its legacy is a cautionary tale about the difference between scientific evidence and the belief in extraordinary possibilities. The discovery in that Mexican mine in 1930 unearthed not just a pair of skulls, but an enduring enigma. The skull's journey from a dusty tunnel to a global icon of paranormal research is remarkable. The debate highlights the human need for answers, whether found in a lab or in the stars. The child who lived 900 years ago could never have known the controversy their remains would ignite. The name Starchild itself ensures a legacy of cosmic speculation. The physical evidence is finite, but the stories it inspires are limitless. The lack of peer-reviewed nuclear DNA data remains the biggest weakness of the hybrid theory. Conversely, the sheer extremity of the deformities continues to fuel doubt in the simple medical explanation. Could it be an unknown human pathology? Something not yet in medical textbooks? This possibility represents a middle ground between the two opposing views. Perhaps the Starchild was fully human, but with a one-of-a-kind genetic mutation. This would account for the human maternal DNA and the anomalous physical form. It would also explain why the nuclear DNA, if degraded, might be difficult to match with existing databases. This theory is more plausible to scientists than an alien father, yet still honors the skull's uniqueness. The truth may be more complex than a simple either-or answer. The Starchild Skull forces us to confront the limits of our current understanding. It challenges both medical science and our conception of life in the universe. Final answer remains buried with that child, 900 years ago in the Mexican earth. The story of the Starchild is a testament to the power of a single, unexplained object. It has spawned books, documentaries, and countless hours of debate. The skull's silence is what allows all theories to flourish. Each feature, from the bone density to the eye sockets, has been scrutinized. The narrative constructed by Lloyd Pye was one of scientific persecution and hidden truths. The scientific narrative is one of methodical process and logical deduction. The object itself sits at the center, indifferent to the arguments it provokes. Its existence is a fact. Its meaning is a matter of profound disagreement. The tale began with a chance discovery by a curious teenager in 1930. It continues today in online forums, research papers, and late-night conversations. Whether a deformed child or a visitor from the stars, the skull's story is now woven into our culture. The mystery is, perhaps, more compelling than any definitive answer could be. This ensures that for generations to come, people will still ask, what was the Starchild?